since I joined lacrosse, I was interested in being a goalie, because I was like, it sounds fun, much less running. I'm kind of lazy, I don't like to... Hey everybody, this is Coby, and in a video quite a while ago, one that I'm not super proud of, I mentioned that despite me knowing I was trans for quite a while and experiencing quite a lot of gender dysphoria about it, I played on a girls lacrosse team for about 4 years. Now, this is a long story. I have good explanations for putting myself through all that crap, even though it was unhealthy, but I want to take you back to the very beginning. 8th grade. What was I, like 13? I was 13, okay? I was in PE. I was in a junior high PE class because it was required and I didn't have anything else good to do with my time. Now, I was always one of those freaks that loves PE. Now, in junior high, we don't really do a lot of the hard things. We do the weird fitness gram, which was annoying, but other than that, we just went through units where we learned a sport. Now, I'm doing this a lot because we didn't actually learn the sports that we were learning, okay? I just want to put that out there. 7th grade, we did a unit on lacrosse. The gym teacher didn't have anyone that actually played lacrosse in the class teaching the class, and she wasn't telling us how to do it right at all. But in 8th grade, there was this friendly guy who was helping to coach one of the junior lacrosse teams for girls in our school, and they needed more girls because they didn't have anyone there, okay? And this was way before I even allowed myself to consider the fact that I might possibly be trans. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll go ask my mom if I can join lacrosse. That sounds fun. That sounds like a party. Because he came in and he taught us the things, and I was like, this is actually really fun. And I got way more into it than any of the other people in the class. Because it was PE, everyone was like, oh no, my hair, why did I take PE 3rd period? Now I'm going to look nasty in 4th period, and yada 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 yada. I didn't give any craps about that, because A, I didn't have any friends that would give me flack about looking bad, and I didn't even have any enemies that would give me flack about looking bad. So I was just like, I don't care, I'm going to go all freaking out in this lacrosse game that wasn't really a lacrosse game, but I'll get back to that. So I went and asked my mom. I was like, I've always been terrified of asking to do things and asking for things because lacrosse is super expensive, very expensive sport to play. So I went and asked her, and she was like, I was seeing the signs, and I've been like, I wish one of my kids would play lacrosse. So it was a all-around, yeah, let's go join lacrosse kind of thing. So I went to the day camp that they had at a nearby elementary school, and I was like, this is a party, I freaking love it. Turns out a lot of the other girls there had been playing since 3rd grade, and I was doing almost as well as them once I got the basics down. So I was like, hey, that's cool, I guess I'm a natural. I wasn't. I was so bad, especially moving into high school. But I joined them that spring, and it was the spring right before I joined 9th grade, which would have brought me to the high school lacrosse team instead of the juniors. And so that fall, there was a huge mix-up. I didn't know how to sign up to be on the high school team, so I missed the fall season of the next year. But then the spring season, I joined late because I finally figured out how to do it. We had to pay way more extra money because I joined late. But it was fine. I did it, and I joined, and I was not very good. I wasn't good compared to the most of the high school girls, because like I said, they've been playing for years and years, and they've been doing every season. They've been doing spring, they've been doing summer, they've been doing fall, and I had only done one spring season with one team before. So I was not very good, and it was actually really hard for me because I was putting myself down a lot about it. So that spring happened, and then I was already signed on to their team, so that fall I was doing it, and we had a new JV goalie. Okay, this is where things get actually very interesting and relevant to the topic I'm talking about. We had a new JV goalie. She was not very confident. If she messed up one time, the rest of the game she didn't believe that she could do it, so she didn't do it. We didn't do well that season, but we did all right, and I improved so much in all the different places. I mostly did attack and midfield, which require a lot of running and also a lot of more awareness and just being more fit, especially because our team was good and we were always on the offensive. Almost always, not all the time. But I improved in defense as well. That next spring season is right when my mental health was spiraling completely downwards, and my questions about my gender and my sexual identity were also spiraling out of control. I don't know who I was, I didn't know what was going to happen, and I was pretty sure that I was not going to survive past high school. which I'm going to talk about in another video another time because that was wild. But it was just not a great time for me. But the super consistent thing that I had was lacrosse practice every single day for like a couple hours where I was running and I was doing this thing and I was improving so much. And then a couple weeks before the first game, the new JV goalie that had been there that fall still hadn't turned up to practice. And so finally I was like, hey, does anyone know what happened to her? And apparently it was common knowledge except for me that she'd quit and no one else had attempted to be the goalie yet. And I was like, I wanted to be a goalie this whole time, I just didn't want to shove someone else out of the spot they already had. And so everyone was like, are you serious? That's great. Keep in mind it was like a week before our first game. A week before the first JV game, and I was like, coming from midfield, coming from I don't believe I can do anything good, to I can be the goalie, which is very important because it's the last line of defense, and our offense is very good. Our defense was always lacking a little bit. It probably still is, but I'm not going to talk about my teammates. So I became the goalie. Now, this is when, like, I started to just love lacrosse. I don't even know how to explain it. It might have been because of all the padding I had eased off some of the gender dysphoria that I didn't recognize as gender dysphoria. It might have been just because I was actually pretty good, especially for someone who had never played goalie in any sport in their life before. And I was improving every day, and I was actually managing to be a fairly good goalie, and I was just super happy about it. And so that season continued, and we did alright. We didn't win anything. Like, I lost games. Everyone's gonna lose games. And then for that year's fall lacrosse, our varsity goalie was having surgery on her knees, and she was not going to be able to play at all during the entire fall season, which is pretty big, because it's not like the actual, like, championship season, but it's like, it's when a lot of people develop and grow and stuff, so I was going to be the varsity goalie for the entire fall season, and I was like, that's stressful, and no one told me until the first day of practice, because I'm very bad at being able to be communicated with, but it was fine. I did alright, I improved so much, and everyone was so nice. The girls are the best. I've talked to you guys about this before. The girls on my team were, like, amazing and, like, sweet, and it was, like, right when I, like, deeply hated myself, because that was an entire experience that I had for a couple years, but lacrosse was kind of this one thing, and it also improved my mental health, because like, exercise releases the dolphins. That's what I say. It's endorphins in your brain. It helps you be happy. And while I did have, like, clinical depression that was making it hard for me to, like, actually be happy, when I was playing lacrosse, there were, like, moments where I was, like, content and felt happy with myself. Go around to this spring, where I'd already committed to being the JV goalie for the season, and they didn't have anyone else that even wanted to do it, because I don't know why, because I love being goalie, but a lot of people don't like it. So right, like, it was in the fall season where I was starting to realize I am literally trans. It was when I was posting my first YouTube video about a year ago, and I was, like, fully, like, coming to accept myself, and then there was this thing that had always been the bright spot for me, that was suddenly becoming this super dysphoric place where, like, I knew that this isn't me, even though I love exercising, I love playing lacrosse. It just was dysphoric, especially when we weren't actually playing and we were doing group dinners and all that jazz. And especially because I don't wear my binder when I exercise, but working out does ease dysphoria for me, because it makes me feel like I'm stronger. It makes me feel like more stereotypically masculine, which I know is, like, dumb, and I don't play into any of that at all, but it did, like, it still helps my mental health. And so even while I was struggling so much because of this, it was also just helping me be more alive, and it helped me find more consistency in my life. And even though I dropped out of high school and got my GED, I still played on the high school team for that last season, just so that they had someone that could be their goalie. And so basically what I'm saying is, I know that putting myself through that was, like, very super unhealthy for me, and that I probably shouldn't have, but I did anyway, because I hate going back on things I've committed to, and I love to exercise. Like, if I had the option of playing lacrosse and also being, like, affirmed in my gender all at the same time without any dysphoria at all, I would do it in a heartbeat. But where I'm at in life right now, especially with me starting college and me starting a job, I'm not able to do that. Like, I would still love to, and I still have my lacrosse stick, and I still throw lacrosse balls at it for my dog, but I don't play it anymore, which, yeah, it hurts me because I love the game, and I love the sport, and I love just the community, and I love it so much. I just can't do it, and I know, like, a lot of people in my life, especially people who don't really understand me being trans, don't understand why I'm not doing lacrosse. But I have reasons, and I had reasons when I was doing it, when a lot of people, especially, like, online people, would be like, just don't do it if it makes you dysphoric. Duh. But it wasn't that simple for me, because I really, honestly, had to do this because I would hate myself if I didn't. But like, all that long story aside about gender and, like, different things, it was an amazing experience being on a lacrosse team for, like, almost 3 years, because the first one was the first year. Like, I still have all my jerseys. Like, this is my practice jersey, this is my game jersey. Like, we had skirts, which, funnily enough, goalies didn't have to wear. I wonder why I liked being goalie so much. That wasn't the only reason. There was a lot of reasons, and a lot of it I think has to do with the fact that I was trans, that it did help me because of the padding feel a little better even though I wasn't wearing a binder. But that's a whole thing. Like, I got jackets, I got so many jerseys, you guys. These cool shoes. Like, lacrosse is always going to be something that I identify with, even if I never play on a team or even play in a game ever again. It's still going to be like something I'm like, I did that, and I'm not a sport guy. Like, I don't understand any sports at all except for how to play lacrosse. I just thought, because I mentioned it several times in my videos that I'm on a girls lacrosse team, and just to clarify, just for one thing, so that people don't attack me for being not actually trans, which is impossible if you saw my what does it mean to be trans thing, or just have questions, because it is a confusing thing. Like, why would you purposefully do that even when you were planning on coming out very soon? But I did it, and I don't regret it. I actually regret not playing lacrosse more, even though there's no way for me to feasibly do that, especially with my schedule and my job and work. But yeah, so if you guys have any kind of similar experiences, or if you play lacrosse as well, hit me up in the comments below. I love to hear from you, and I'm an extrovert, so it just makes everything better. If you like this video, go ahead and hit like and subscribe, and you can also hit subscribe right here on this bubble around this half of the screen, and you can see my last video right up there in this half of the screen. That's about everything for today, so yeah, hasta la pasta. I'll see you next time.